to the show. And today I'm talking with Alon, and his last name is Shabo. I think I'm saying that right. He's going to correct me in a moment if I got it wrong. We're going to talk about how he traded his soul for money and how he changed that to a more joy-filled business, and also some insights he got from climbing to the summit of the highest mountain in Africa, Mt Kilimanjaro. So he's also got a lot of insight from totally disconnecting from his regular life and all his digital stuff. And also he gets a lot more excitement these days from helping his customers be happy instead of doing what he did in his dark arts days, which we'll talk about. And if we get time, we'll talk about how and why he gave up drinking and how he is happy at parties and can be the wild, sober guy. So welcome, Alon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And just in case you don't know who this guy is, he's an author, businessman, secret gorilla, and he's about to release a book called Just Be a Good Animal. Be out sometime later this year. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. But first of all, I'm kind of curious. You had a job, a business that was your passion. You really enjoyed it, and you gave it up to chase money. Why? What was going through your head, man?
Yeah, where to begin? Let me give you the backstory. So what is this, 2011, 12, kind of getting fired from my first real job and going on the figure your life out thing. I'm sure everyone here can relate to that. So I tapped in and I'm like, okay, I'm passionate about health, wellness, fitness. Coincidentally, I was good at it. And in that industry, that just means you have a nice physique, which is pretty vain, but that's the truth about it. So I started a fitness blog, which turned into a fitness coaching service, which turned into info products. And I had a nice following. This was kind of in my business infancy, so I didn't really know how to scale properly and hire properly and do things like that. So it just got to a point where it was a clusterfuck. And that's a good problem in retrospect. I had 40-something paying customers monthly, and this was just organic, small channel stuff. Everyone was happy. When I stopped doing the business, I had customers, like, they were pretty upset about it. So that's the backstory. What really happened was I hit the dip in my business. I wasn't sure how to hire. I wasn't sure how to scale, just all these things that a new entrepreneur would run into. And they say the dip is to kind of filter people, who deserve it or whatever. So when things got hard, I got shiny object syndrome. I ran into an opportunity to do some ghostwriting and copywriting for a New York Times bestselling author. And at that time, it was a lot of money. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah. I don't have to deal with all my clients. I can just write for one guy. Cool. And it was cool for a few months. And it kind of shaped a different path where I was writing for multiple clients. And in my niche, I guess I had a little name for myself as someone who was okay at what he does. And it was all good. But, we can fast forward about 3.5 years later and I'm still doing that stuff. And the money was good. The money was good relative to the work and everything. But while my bank account was growing, I was just like so disconnected from the work. I was just fucking upset that I wasn't creating stuff. And I think any kind of creative with a message inside, like they understand their truth, it fucking burns when you're not doing it. So it got to the point where I would do stuff for clients and it would like physically hurt. It would physically hurt. I'd be like, I should be doing this for myself. I should blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of what happened. The dip, shiny object syndrome.
So you said it physically hurt. Where in your body did it hurt when you were doing this dispiriting work?
Literally like in the middle, in the chest. And it was such a fucking drain of energy. And it only took me until I started doing what I like to do. And in this case, that was just writing statuses on Facebook. No business, no money, just writing a nice status. I got a ton of love and people messaging me like, oh, I needed to hear that. I realized that would raise my energy. That would make me excited. I would walk around town. My spine would be more erect. I'd be happy. And then when it's like client time, here's a lot of money to do this task. And my shit, my chest, my midsection, everything would just tighten up and I'd be like, and I'd be tired after,
Do Do you think your chest was trying to tell you a message at all in that time?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
what do you think it was trying to tell you?
Don't do that. Run away.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to hear this message?
You know, I kind of ignored it for probably upwards 6, 8 months, and but in that time, I was kind of gradually, I guess, like spirituality part two, like revisiting, thinking hard questions about life, etc., and then figuring out kind of the exit plan, because I put myself in a weird situation, and I guess people say it's golden handcuffs. When you get used to making a certain amount of money, it's a little bit difficult to just be like, all right, bye bye now.
I was talking to someone on the show a few weeks ago, and she had a dream to create a business, a school for autistic children. And someone offered her $10 million to like get this dream going, but it was a bit off. Her intuition said this wasn't quite right. It was 9 out of 10, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10. And that was one of the hardest decisions she made, to say, no, I'm not going to take the golden handcuffs. So how did you get out of your golden handcuffs, man? I mean, that's hard. You make good money.
Of course. Well, logically, I figured out an exit plan, and I started doing other things to generate income to kind of naturally, because it's one of my mentors told me, he's like, it's like the jungle theory, like Tarzan. You don't jump to another tree until you have a solid branch to grasp onto, or else you'll fall down. So just gradually I started exiting the relationships that were draining me. I started replacing them with better ones. Like, for example, I was doing copywriting services. I started ditching all the businesses that were just questionable or shitty clients or whatever, and I started writing more about stuff that I care about and I like stuff I would do with my own audiences. So that was step one. And then step two was to step back into kind of the business thing. So I have my own income and my own something to take up all my time. So that's kind of the two stages it happened in.
So that's a nice technique there. And I think whether you're going to exit a business or you just want to improve your current one, going towards where the joy is, like you did there, like what work brings me more joy, and getting rid of the work, letting go of the work. I assume you let go of these clients gracefully, or did you just tell them to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had the difficult conversations, and then we set up a plan that makes sense, so no one got fucked over, pardon my language, by me just bouncing. And there was moments where I was very irrational about it, and it was probably ego and emotion mixed together, but I got very rational about it. And for like anybody listening, if you have a day job and your dreams to be an entrepreneur and you're fantasizing that or whatever, like keep your day job, because stable income it's amazing. It puts you in a place where you're not back against the wall, gun to your head, stress. But for some people, they need that. And I think I may be one of those people where to truly crush it, I need my back against the wall, skin in the game, like you're going to die if this doesn't happen type thing.
Well, I hope you don't die, but as long as you're motivated. And, it's not, I think it's not just enough for people who have a regular job to have stable income. You've got to have your expenses be less than your income as well, preferably significantly less, so that you've got a lot of room there, to do other things. So you managed to pivot out of this draining copywriting business, and you created a new business that I'm hoping you get a lot of joy from. Is that the case? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a business and it's a job. So I'm not like, yeah. But when I do hear about my customers, that's funny, right? When my customers send in a testimonial being like, hey, my father is a very angry person, and I started putting your oil in his tea, and now he's much more calm and everyone likes to be around him more. I love that, because I feel like my truth, everything's kind of relative. Like it started with fitness coaching and now it's this product. I feel like it's kind of the same effect on a bigger scale,
So you sell a product that helps people's health and their happiness as well.
Absolutely. It's like a stress, anxiety kind of reliever. People take it for pain, to sleep better. It's
Wow.
yeah.
That sounds much more satisfying than writing copy for products you don't really believe in.
Absolutely. And especially when you're kind of just a lone guy in your dark little corner, here's your deliverables. Let's make it happen. You know, I feel like you need people and you need to be connected to outcomes and things.
Do you ever meet your customers or is it all remote?
For this new business?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're fairly new. Like we just got our first 100 customers about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I basically I try to get my every customer on the phone. I want to understand why they bought this, how they heard about us, what they're taking it for. I had a customer the other day tell me that, hey, I didn't really feel any results, and I just gave her a refund without even asking her. So that's kind of the contact I want to have in these initial stages.
That is cool. So you mentioned that you have, it sounded like you have a dream that you have a business that you do get really excited about going to work. What would it take to have a business like that?
That's a really good question. That's one of those. What would it take? The vision I see this playing out is I'm here grinding and building this up until it justifies kind of the next stage, which is building a culture and a team. And I feel like then I step off from being the scrappy entrepreneur, figuring everything out, hustling, grinding, whatever, into just being more of a leader and grooming people and getting them to move the mission forward. Because anyone who I'll end up working with as a real employee or partner or whatever, that I need them to be aligned with not the money, but hey, we want to have a massive impact on this earth and helping people.
So having a business that has something bigger than the business, it's on some mission to heal people
Absolutely.
who are sick or unhappy and make a big change in the world. Maybe stop a few wars starting even.
And to plant a lot of trees. So we have this partnership where every time we sell a product, we make a donation to our partner, and that gives them enough money to plant a tree in north or south.
Wow.
Yeah.
I almost have this vision that you'll be in the future, you'll have like a corporate jet and you'll have packages with parachutes of this oil and you'll go into a war zone and you'll just kind of drop it out. And all the soldiers and angry people will like take some in their tea and like they'll just mellow out and
Yeah.
they'll just go home. They don't need to have a war.
We'll use drones though. It's more environmentally friendly.
So I know you've done a bunch of climbing really tall mountains, like in the Himalayas or Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, where it's like so high you can't even breathe. Why on earth did you want to climb in the Himalayas? You know, sounds really tough.
Yeah, well, it's different. The Himalayas thing, a guy in the DC made a post saying who wants to join me after DCBKK, the annual conference, and he was a copywriter as well. So I read his post and it kind of infused me with emotion, the desire for adventure. And I haven't really done anything nature-y prior to that, like nothing, maybe overnight camping like once or twice in my life. So I took him up on the offer and we went to Nepal, which is an amazing country. People say it's like India, but more chill. That's how I was told. Yeah, and we trekked in the Himalayas for what? It was like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. To this day, it was the most incredible thing I've ever done. There's so many things I want to say about it. It's like, for one, I completely disconnected from smartphones, Wi-Fi's, and just the daily buy stuff, routine. You know, every day had like a structure. It's like we're waking up and we need to get to our destination. Boom. Like after the trek, I was quite confused. I woke up and I'm like, what is my goal for the day? What's my objective? I'm just sitting at this coffee shop. It felt weird to be a civilian, I guess. But yeah, no, the disconnect was really good. It gave me a lot of clarity. I think anyone can benefit from that. I don't even think you need to go into nature, even though that magnifies the effects. The month we went, the year prior, I think like there was a freak storm that killed like 30 or 40 people on the same trek we were on. So that, yeah, so that was like a thought in all of our minds, and it made it more, it makes you more present when you think you could die at any moment. It does make you more present for sure. And we did run into like a pretty big storm out there. It wasn't a freak storm that would kill us, but it's kind of like man versus the elements. You know, you could say I felt kind of like an earlier human, and my thought process was different every day. I would wake up, make sure my gear was good, tie my boots, and we would just trek all day through beautiful nature. It was very therapeutic.
When you say it was therapeutic, how so for you?
Well, the disconnect and just being out in the wilderness, you realize that most of the things you care about don't really matter, or most of the things you worry about, for example. I don't know. It got rid of a lot of clutter in my mind, and it kind of reconnected me, reminded me what I care about. And after that, I made some key life changes just based on some of those insights from the mountains. And that's just small things about how I go about my day.
So what did you understand that you care about that you didn't know before?
It's not that I didn't know it before, it just kind of reminds you. And I think the same goes for people like looking for their passion and trying to find out what it is. I think like it's very evident in your early years. There's like clues, and like throughout your life, there's clues. Like, for example, throughout everything I've done, like in my business life, it's all been around health and wellness and fitness and things like that. So, and even with my clients that I write about, like my best clients have all been in the areas that I'm connected to. So now at this stage, it's kind of just like everything in my life revolves around my truth. So like my book, my business, my coaching that I do very small and on the side.
So instead of finding your passion, it's more that your passion was there the whole time and you just had covered it up with all these distractions, you know, digital and your lifestyle and what have you. And then you cleared that away and you could feel exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah. And, you know, like I had some traumas from a previous relationship, and the mountain kind of cleansed me. Like when I got off the mountain, back to the real world, back to civilization, like I felt, no, really, because you're so fucking detached from everything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, there were some points where I was like, wow, I'm the only person here. I'm the only person who's ever been here. That's how I felt. So it's just like you have your life, and then like you're in the mountains and you're trekking through the mountains and you're thinking, and I'm like, wow, I need to make this change. I can't wait to get home and just make these changes and things like that. It just all comes from the detachment. And also like it feels really good to make it to the top. You know, that was a goal we worked on for 2.5 weeks every day. Are we getting there? Are we getting there? You know, we dealt with like altitude sickness, fatigue. Some moments were really uncomfortable, normal stuff. But then when you make it, it feels good, right? It reinforces like goal setting in your mind.
Well, we'll talk more about goal setting in a little bit when we talk about your African mountain adventure. I'm kind of curious. Did you get any? Do you think you got any messages from the mountains or nature, or?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it wasn't as if the mountain was talking to me. The only conversations we had were me asking the mountain not to kill us and like to give us good weather. Yeah, like you got to respect that beast, because it makes you feel quite small when you're like in the belly of the mountain, and weather can change in like 2 minutes, and it can go from 90 degrees to like 0 in the span of 15 minutes. But yeah, I got some for sure messages. Like after I climbed Kilimanjaro, which was really fucking hard. It was a grind. It was a different experience than Nepal. But after I did that, I was immensely proud of myself standing on there. I was like, you know, not many thousands of people climb it a year, but I'm just like, wow, like this is a view you have to earn. The message I got was, if you can climb a mountain like that, you can do anything. And all the business goals and things like that I kind of spook myself out about and see as impossible, I'm like, oh, that's nothing. I just climbed this fucking mountain. So the big lesson I got from Kilimanjaro is one step at a time, you know?
Mm.
Don't look at how far you have to go, because that'll demoralize you. And most people don't even get started because they see how far they have to go. So that's kind of my business philosophy. I'm just showing up every day, like looking down at my feet one step at a time. Sometimes I may go off course and I'll just get back on course.
I think that's a good thing to, you've got a big goal for your business, right? And you don't have to like get overwhelmed with it. And if you just stay in the present moment and just keep making small steps, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Big goal. Is that how you used to handle goals, or?
Can you repeat that?
Before you climbed these mountains, and you had big business goals, I'm assuming you had big business goals or big life goals. Did you get overwhelmed sometimes because you kept looking at the summit instead of like, I just need to take one more step forward?
Absolutely. And watching what other people are doing and comparing their success to mine and feeling inferior, all those types of things. But yeah, that's why, I left my fitness business when it had a lot of momentum. And I mean, I don't like to use the word regret, but it's definitely something that, if I stuck with it, I think things would be radically different right now. Yeah, I looked at how far I had to go, and I was like, oh, fuck this. I can go make easy money, I'll just trade my soul.
So you were climbing a really cool health business mountain, and you looked up too much and it looked too terrifying, and you kind of slid down the slope.
There's a helicopter chilling with some babes in it, and they're like, you want some champagne? I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And anyway, the joy's in the climbing. So the thing about climbing...
And then you were on that helicopter drinking the champagne for 3 years, and eventually you started kicking the bad customers gently out of the helicopter door, and you routed it over to this other better mountain that you're currently on, where you sell this healing oil.
Yeah. Pretty much that. The thing about climbing mountains is the joy really is in the journey, because like summits are very anticlimactic. So let's say you're climbing for like Nepal, it was like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to the summit. Every day, summit. But you're really just enjoying the journey. That was the most memorable part. And you get to the summit, and it's extremely anticlimactic. Like, it's pretty high, so you don't want to spend much time there because you can get altitude sickness. So you like snap some pictures and you're fucking out of there. That's it. So I think that translates to life as well. It's all about the journey. And I think,
I think it's good. It's very important to enjoy. For me, it's important to enjoy the journey, but I can enjoy achieving a goal as well.
Oh, of course.
And then sometimes there's a depression that happens after the goal's achieved. I don't know if that happens for you, but you have this big goal for years and years, and then you get there and it's like, that's it.
You got to set another one.
And then now what? Yeah.
Just like
that's why it's good to have several goals on the hamster wheel.
But that's the cycle. Even doing like a small goal, it reinforces in your mind, like goal, positive outcome, let's do another goal. Even when I was doing fitness coaching, I would make very small goals for people, like drink fucking water, and we would celebrate those small goals, and then we'd build upon them.
For me, that's one of the benefits of being in a mastermind, because we have a yearly goals, and we have quarterly goals, and we've got a weekly goal, and we celebrate each other's successes, or we help if we have challenges or get stuck. So it's pretty amazing. I was reading this book the other day called No Picnic on Mount Kenya. I don't know if you've come across that, but it's the story of these Italian prisoners of war in the Second World War. And they escaped from the prisoner of war camp because they were bored, climbed up this mountain, right, so they could achieve it. And then, of course, they had to come back down and go back to the prisoner of war camp because there wasn't really anywhere else to go.
Sounds like a sad story.
Well, no, they were happy because they were inspired. Because in the camp, what I didn't say is in the camp, they could see the mountain every day, and they were mountain climbers. That's what they were before the war. And they're like, gee, I really want to climb it. So they did.
Yeah.
You know?
Just because you
You know,
can.
it's
People are
just
like, why
because you
would you do
can,
that? Because you can.
right? And they didn't even have proper climbing equipment. They had to, you know how these prisoner of war things where you have to make your own kind of fake stuff out of leftover things. So they didn't even have
Yeah.
proper axes and stuff. They had to kind of fake it out. But they did it and succeeded and enjoyed it. um, Now you mentioned there the getting the champagne in the helicopter that you escaped from the first mountain. Do you still drink, or what's your relationship with alcohol?
Yeah, I'll drink wine every once in a while with a nice dinner or with my girl or something. But I don't drink hard alcohol. No, I haven't for a few years.
Hmm.
Not like stone cold sober. Like for example, I was in a weird situation at a music festival like a few weekends ago, and I was like, yeah, give me a drink. Mostly because I just felt a bit uncomfortable. And then within a few sips, I already felt my thought process changing, and I felt just everything turn negative. And it's quite funny because I journal religiously, and I
Mm.
was feeling bad. I felt all these nasty emotions. So I told my friends, I was like, hey, I don't feel good. I'm going back to the tent. This was a camping festival. And I went home and I journaled, and I looked at my journal a few days later, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like drinking is so bad for me. Just like some of the things I wrote, even the way my handwriting, it looked like murderous, like angry, like scrawls. Um,
Wow.
yeah, that's probably one of the best things I did in my 20s was cutting out alcohol for the most part. You know, cutting out that, oh, it's a social event drink, or oh, it's the weekend drink. I mean, and for many reasons too.
I love how you look back in your journal and get insights, that you didn't necessarily know at the time. So,
I've been journaling for since 2010, I believe, like almost a decade, almost every
mm,
day. I really don't
wow.
miss days. It's kind of therapy for me.
Mm. Is that a bit like that artist's way thing where you kind of spend a certain number of minutes writing and you don't even know what you're going to write about?
Yeah, stream of consciousness. It's just kind of you get your emotions out. I do it in the morning, especially if I'm feeling anxious, and I just write, and then I guess I figured out what was bothering me, and it's not in my head anymore. It's on a piece of paper. You know,
Mm.
that's probably one of the best habits I picked up, and it's also coincidentally made me a decent writer just through that
Hmm.
practice, which has
Mm.
paid off pretty well.
So you didn't really have a dark night of the soul with your alcohol consumption. You
What do you
you,
mean
you
by that?
managed to become conscious that it was not, you were getting
Yeah,
negative effects for it, but it didn't like go down into a total death spiral
no, I
kind
was
of
never
thing.
like a rock bottom alcoholic, but
Not
I don't
like
know.
one of my other guests I interviewed who, do you know Russ Perry?
Yeah,
he, yeah, he had a real dark night of the soul. His wife was going to leave him, and all kinds of
yeah.
problems. And that's when he decided, I'm going to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for me, it just kind of stopped. I just started noticing it was giving me shitty effects. And this happened when I got much healthier in my life. So I just noticed, I was like, it lost that euphoric feeling. So I don't know, this was back then. Now when I drink, like at that festival, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I respect my body too much. You know, that's one of my
Mm.
deepest values. I'm like, and then I look around and I see all these drunks and I'm like, everyone's trying to escape from something. And I feel like I have nothing to escape from. And I'm really proud to say that, you know, I'm really happy with my
Mhm.
life.
Now that's interesting. So how come you don't need to escape anymore? Because most people spend most of their lives trying to escape from their
Yeah.
reality.
I
Not and when I say escape, I don't just mean alcohol. That could be, eating sugar, or it could
of
be,
course.
addictive sex, or watching movies all the time, or.
Or even going to the gym and rock climbing and playing sports, you could say that's an escape as well. And I think that's my preferred escape and my preferred drug as well, like endorphins, boosting my testosterone, all that stuff. It's good. I like all
As
those
long
good
as
hormones.
long as you don't inject it into your eyeballs.
Yeah, absolutely. But why am I happy with my life? I don't know. I'm just content in the simple things like prioritizing my health and like getting my daily
Mm.
sunlight, daily exercise. Like all the food I eat is just everything that my cells want, you know? That's
How do you
contributed.
know that? How do you know the food you eat is what your cells want? Do they
Well,
tell you? Are they like
I feel
talking in
it.
little voices?
I
You can
feel it.
feel it in your
Yeah,
body?
I feel it in my body. I feel it in everything.
Mm.
Absolutely. I mean, it's rooted obviously in like ancient knowledge and things like that. But yeah, when I eat shitty food, like I had pizza the other week, I had an epiphany. I was like, why did I do this? You know?
Mm.
And it's
Tasted
cyclical. It tasted good,
right.
yeah. I was,
Tasted good. Made my ego happy.
yeah, it was nuts. It was like doing drugs, basically. But
How were
back,
you eating this pizza? Makes it sound like you're in some den where like there were low
yeah,
lights and people were like offering you pizza and
and then just Domino's pepperoni on my couch like a slob. You know, that feels good sometimes. Nice
yeah.
little
But then
balance.
you noticed afterwards your body
Yeah,
just didn't feel great.
yeah, absolutely. But
Just,
back to your question, I just feel
yeah.
very, I think being healthy fuels a lot of that and just prioritizing my immediate relationships. I'm not really on social media anymore. I don't really look at what other people are doing anymore. I don't watch other entrepreneurs in my network who are way more successful than me. I don't really like admire them because I don't know what their life is like. And that's different from years prior where I was just caught up in everyone else's and I was like, what am I doing and how does this fit into society? Now I'm just kind of listening to myself and I'm like, I like this. This feels good. I don't like this. I'm not going to do this. Same with people. Like, I'm very transparent in that sense. If I don't like somebody's vibe, I get the fuck away from them.
So some people might call this hell yes or don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some in the middle, some things like, you know, just more practical stuff, I guess. But yeah, ready.
Me too. So it sounds like you really treat your body well. It's almost like, it's almost like there's you and then there's your body, and it's like you've got a nice pet. I don't know. I was going to say dog, but you don't look
Yeah,
like a dog. You're more like a gorilla, really.
yeah, yeah. I was explaining this to my girlfriend the other day. She's not like me. She's kind of the opposite of me, so that's nice. We're kind of in the middle. But I don't know. I told her I don't care about my house and my business or anything as much as I care about my body and how I feel. And that's not in a vain narcissistic sense or anything. It's just more like protecting my genetics and ensuring like I'm super healthy for the rest of my life because I don't know. I rarely get sick, but when I'm sick, I'm just like, man, health is just, it's everything. That's all you could ever want. And everything else is kind of noise. So I guess my goals these days are more mature. Like I optimize each day. That's my number one priority. And then all the other stuff is all kind of secondary goals, but they all tie in because when I'm healthy and full of energy, I'm able to accomplish a lot more. Like I'm a big, I don't know if you know Gary Halbert, the late copywriter. He's kind of like the godfather of direct response. He has a quote and it says, one good idea exploited properly while walking on the beach can be worth more than 10 lifetimes of hard work.
I like that quote.
Yeah, so that kind of guides me in a lot of things. So yeah. But I don't walk around
So
beaches.
you,
I don't walk around beaches looking for insights, but I kind of try to optimize parts of my life outside of business because that's when the subconscious kicks in and it's like, here's a great idea. And good ideas executed properly are worth more than sitting and grinding behind the screen.
oh, absolutely. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the days of grinding are over. It's really
Yeah.
possible to, if you listen to your intuition, you can figure out solutions to business issues without having to grind or hustle.
Fucking hate
You can
grinding.
create it.
All these
Well,
gurus preaching
stop
about grinding.
it.
So
Stop it.
irresponsible. So irresponsible.
Yeah, well, you've just got to say no, as
Yeah.
Nancy Reagan would say,
Say no
to
to
drugs.
grinding.
But, let's say no to grinding. That doesn't mean you can't do long hours. If you're really turned on and enjoying what you're doing, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
It's weird though because I went to one of my clients' offices last year. He asked me to sit in and meet his staff and help them with some stuff. And the old me was like, yeah, sure. That was like the worst week of my life, one. And two, I saw all these grinders who sat at computers for 10, 11 hours a day And at the end of the day, I'm like, what the fuck did you accomplish really? Like, I don't understand how you guys can do this. I'm like, my work has suffered greatly from spending just a couple hours in this office. Like, what is going on here?
It is, it's like an addiction people get, you know, it's the workaholic kind of thing, the hustle addiction.
But they're just banging on keyboards. They're not doing anything. It's weird.
Well, it looks weird to you, but to a lot of entrepreneurs, that seems normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because you got more perspective from having been up in those mountains for weeks.
Everyone has their own style. That's what I've learned. You know, you just got to understand your style and your strengths and your weaknesses and just own it and not be like, I should be like that person, or this podcast said to do this. You know, just like, I guess that's what intuition means, right? Just listen to yourself, honor your values.
Yeah, inner tuition, inner teaching, literally, right? Like intuition.
But like your gut, for example, your gut is a brain, right? Second brain. I don't want to get into gut health, but most people's gut health is so fucked up. So how could they listen to their gut if their gut is so poorly damaged, you know?
You know, I think I have talked about the gut brain with, I think it was with Barbara in another episode. I'll link it in the show notes. But yeah, there is definitely a second brain down there in our gut, and there are actually more neurotransmitters in our gut than there are in our brain.
We are bacteria, literally. I don't know the numbers, but I think our bacteria cells.
Oh, I do know the numbers. We have about 60 trillion human cells, and there's about 600 trillion bacteria.
Yeah,
there are way more bacteria in our bodies than there are human cells.
Yeah,
and they have intelligent things. I mean, I actually talk to my bacteria in my gut. You know, and I'll say, you know, if I'm having an upset tummy, I'll say, hey guys, you know, I'm happy for you to live in my body, but can you just keep the party down, because it's like causing some problems up here? And they're like, oh, we're sorry, we didn't mean to do that.
You got to drop some paratroopers in there, you know, get some local fear, drop them in there.
That might keep them happy. I mean, I also do.
Get the bad guys out. That's kind of how it works.
You can absolutely. You can ask the bad bacteria to leave your body. Yeah. You know, if you're going to stay in this body, you've got to be good for me. You've got to have a high vibration. You know, got to be conscious bacteria. Otherwise,
I have a more military strategy. I just nuke them. I'm sending in 100,000 billion cells of lacto whatever.
Well, yeah, probiotics are a good thing, and I certainly sometimes take those. You know, I do an annual cleanse thing and part of that regime is taking probiotics. So, and the other thing I've done is what do you call it? Where you flush out your intestines, colon hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a buildup of plaque and other goopy stuff in there. It's
absolutely.
You know, I mean, usually, I mean, I don't want to get this too disgusting, but usually my poop is kind of brown colored. And I did this colon hydrotherapy for 10 times. And after the first few times, this really dark, sticky black stuff started coming out. I'm like, where the hell did this come from? And it must have been hiding in there, you know, for years or decades. And it affects, I think it affects your intuition if your gut is full of junk and goop.
I noticed this in my morning writing sessions. You know, after I eliminate the waste, there's much more clarity. My writing is more fluid, etc. But I think we're talking too much about shit here.
Well,
isn't this a business podcast?
Well, it's all about intuition and business, but you know, it all relates really.
Yeah, well, shitting is really important. You don't want to carry the waste. It's like clutter.
Yeah. Now, well, I think there's a business point to be made here, because our businesses, I mean, I know a business is like an abstract thing, but it's also like a little living organism. And there are areas in our business that collect shit, for want of a better term. They have clutter, they're like got negative energy, you know, they've got a lot of undone tasks, or their employees in that area of the business really don't enjoy being there. So, you know, taking your business for a bathroom break and letting go some stuff that isn't a fit can be a good thing.
Absolutely.
You know, And it's possible, I think, to hear messages from different parts of our business, just like you hear messages from your body. You know, it feels really good when you do certain behaviors. I think when we work with our business in certain ways, it really is kind of singing and happy. And maybe that's what you were talking about, where you see your business in the future being like this wonderful place to work for you and all the people working there and for the customers. That's maybe where it's going.
Absolutely.
So tell me about this book you're writing, Just Be a Good Animal. It sounds a really unusual title for a book.
Yeah, so let me make a quick plug for my book that's on Amazon right now. It's called Why You Should Climb a Mountain. That's just basically, it's a bunch of short lessons on, I guess, health and personal development and mindset stuff that I've just picked up over the past decade. So that's the previous book for context. Now, why you should be a good animal. So my view on humans is we're obviously animals. We have smartphones, we have big brains, and that's also it's why we are going to the moon. It's also why we're so anxious and depressed and angry and all this stuff about irrelevant bullshit. Yeah, so I don't know, my philosophy is be a good animal, and that all comes down to health and living more naturally and more in tune with yourself. So yeah, it's kind of a fitness book, more or less. You know, it's all about
looking after your body, caring for your body,
and
not
ignoring
abusing it,
and ignoring the
neglecting it
as well, you know, and realizing that we're just animals and we're gonna die and nothing truly matters, and we are just bacteria designed to spread more bacteria. Some of us are narcissistic enough to think, you know, we're here to have an impact or whatever, but the reality is we're all gonna die and we're bacteria. So be really good bacteria. Maybe that'll be the title. Just Be a Good Animal is the working title.
Well, we'll look out for what the actual title is when it comes out.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to share about business intuition before we switch to some other questions?
No, I think we touched on a lot of things.
So, all right, excellent. Well, that's what I like. So why are you proud to use your business intuition openly in your business?
Because it translates into I do what I want and I do what feels good and I control my time and I'm free, not just in the terms of I don't have a boss or I control my schedule, but I'm free to decide what I want to work on, and I choose to avoid things that drain my energy and things I don't like and things I'm not good at. And that's something I've recently just been really focusing on, is just learning how to delegate better, learning how to be more self-aware and how to just back off and say, I don't know anything about this. And also being able to trust people. Those were the things that killed my first business. Like, for example, I couldn't trust anyone. I was like, no one can do it as good as me. And like all these bullshit ideas that prevented anything from really happening. So yeah, I guess
that's a very common entrepreneur belief. You know, no one can do it as good as me.
Yeah, I'm maybe good at like one thing. So
yeah. I've got to admit, if you look at the odds, there's like how many billion people on the planet? 7 or 8 billion. Chances that you're the best at everything task that needs to be done in your business is pretty remote.
Yeah. No, if you're in business and your business is new, like speed and getting things done and moving is more important than even quality, for example. So I'm not married to the perfect outcome or making sure this person's perfect. Right now, I'm more like, can we get the minimum like effective dose or the minimum required thing done fast and efficiently and keep going? And then I just kind of adjust from there. Like I was on a mastermind call earlier with a guy who, I don't know, he's a bit confused, and he sent me this long list of ideas and he was so analytical with graphs. I'm like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, pick one and see what happens. God damn.
That is good advice for folks listening. Just take a step forward in your climb in your mountain and not like analyze it to death.
Yeah, like when we were climbing, we never sat at the camp. We were like, okay, this route makes sense. Let's go. And then we just slogged through hell for 10 hours. And if we went the wrong way, we lost a day. But that's better than just sitting there like, do I go this way or this way or this way? Because like today, you get bogged down in so much information, and everyone's preaching their own methods on you, including me right now with my animal philosophy, right? Everyone's saying this is the best way, this is that. That's why like I don't listen to podcasts anymore. I don't really follow people on social media, or I don't know. I'm in my own intuition thing. And sometimes that's not good because you're just like a little bit detached, but sometimes it is good. You know, I'm in my own little world and my brain is only around that right now. There's pros and cons to that.
Yeah, I think there's some benefit to some cross-fertilization and going to conferences and meeting interesting folks and learning new stuff.
Absolutely. But periods of solitude, they can help you return to yourself. If you're all screwed up, you might have too much clutter. So like last year, I spent a good few months. I was in Woodland Hills, California, just kind of in the hills with my dog, solitude. Nobody even knew I was there. No social media, nothing. And it was a good year. I mean, it was just a lot of changes happened, you know, a lot of insights were uncovered.
Excellent. So I'm on this mission for all entrepreneurs to openly use their intuition because first of all, they make more money and have more joy in their business and be less stressed. But also I think if every business leader openly used their intuition, it would inspire their staff, and it would also mean they'd make less stupid decisions that hurt other people or hurt the planet. So what, and it sounds like you like really believe in using your intuition in your business. So what would it take to make business intuition more openly used this year?
For me, for myself?
Yeah.
What would it take? What would it take to use more business intuition this year? So, I mean, in addition to the foundational health and meditation and keeping your mind clutter free and, you know, trusting your essence, that's kind of the foundation stuff. I think it's more, I don't know, more just confidence and action taking and just do it, you know? You have a feeling, you have a thought, just do it. Don't ponder it too much.
That is great advice.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition.
But I mean, it's like you need to declutter your brain, and you need to be in a place where you feel good and you're not operating your business out of fear or scarcity or like trying to keep up with the Joneses in the entrepreneur community. You should have your why kind of dialed down as your fuel. You know, I don't think people can be really in touch with their intuition if they're not prioritizing mental, physical, spiritual health, things like that, just to declutter. Because like Western society and just the world today, it just puts so much shit on you and in you, you know, and marketers like me are responsible for this, and it's fucked up.
Well, you've come back from the dark side of copywriting, and now you're on the light side of having a healing business.
Now I'm using my powers for good, you could say.
Okay. Excellent. So if people want to find you online, what's the best way to do that, man?
Yeah. So if anybody wants a copy of my book for free, I would love to send you a copy. Just friend me and message me on Facebook so we can actually chat. My URL on Facebook is facebook.com/SHABO. I think my picture is I'm like shirtless drinking coffee in the snow or something. So look out for that. And yeah, send me a message. I would be interested in hearing your thoughts on this as well. And I think my websites and stuff will be linked on this page. So.
Yep, we will put the link to your Facebook and to your website and to your current book on there together with the other podcast episodes we mentioned. So it'll all be included there. So generous with the link. And that'll all be on the intuitiveleadershipmastery.com website. Well, it's been really fascinating talking with you, and thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely, man. Talk soon.